Fantastic Mr. Fox is a stop-motion animated feature directed by Wes Anderson. It's awesome because everything you see on screen was handcrafted and carefully manipulated to create each scene of the movie. That is stop motion. Although this is definitely impressive, this alone is not what makes this movie unique.
Does anybody actually read my column? Your friends ever talk about it?
Both the literary aspects and the technical elements of this film provide a level of novelty that is, well, uncommon in Hollywood films. The way that this story is told is unique, and if you find it a little jarring, I wouldn't blame you. The dialogue is blunt, the humor can be subtle, and the animation style is, well, uncommon, like I mentioned. Personally, this is part of the reason I like the film.
I understand what you're saying, and your comments are valuable, but I'm going to ignore your advice.
But let's talk about three things that stand out to me the most. Craft, rhythm, and theme.
Ash, I'm so glad he was you.
The actual crafting of this movie is quite impressive. Like, look at literally any element. Look at the smoke. Like, is that cotton? The fire, the water, the landscapes, the interiors, everything exhibits an attention to detail that shows how much time and painstaking labor was put into this movie. It makes every shot so interesting. While writing this video's script, I spent about 5 minutes clicking through stills of the movie at 30-second intervals and was amazed at how real it felt, even without the illusion of stop motion, the movement that was missing. Like, there was a surprising amount of emotion in these shots that emanated not only from the doll's generally simplistic expressions.
May I ask what you do for a living, Mr. Fox?
I used to steal birds,
but also from the color, the lighting, and just the general detail of the scenes. Like, if you remember those old I Spy books, it kind of felt like that. The camera in this movie, it didn't have to do much. I mean, for the most part, we get basic eye-level shots, wide shot, mid shot, close up.
Master plan, phase 1, side A.
Well, and some great tracking shots in there too, but I digress. Generally, there's a simple pattern repeated with some occasional camera movements. Despite the simplistic cinematography, the content on screen keeps me engaged visually. Okay, what about rhythm? I gotta say, this is not something that I would have expected. The movie has a certain rhythm that comes not only from the score, or the music, but from the movements of the characters. Let's look at an example.
Watch this.
Notice how the movements of the dog complement the beat? You can call this just good scoring, but I really appreciate how the music interacts with the movements in such a way that it kind of becomes another character in its own right. When I remember a scene from this movie, the music comes back to me just about as quickly as the action does.
Nice job,
and I think it's one of this movie's defining characteristics. Okay, theme. Theme. When it comes down to it, my favorite thing is how such a relatable story is told through these little anthropomorphic animal dolls. Okay, so what are the conflicts at play? There certainly are some external conflicts. The farmers, the dogs, disagreements between family and friends. It happens.
If what I think is happening, it better not be.
It all stems from common internal conflict, though, which I'll call the problem of self-worth.
I never said that, and you're misquoting me, or somebody is, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of it.
Mr. Fox, seemingly past his prime, wants to feel fantastic again.
I don't want to live in a hole anymore. It makes me feel poor.
So he concocts a plan to relive his glory days. I mean, put simply, he needs some validation. He wants to feel important. He says so himself.
I think I have this thing where I need everybody to think I'm the greatest, the quote-unquote fantastic Mr. Fox. And if they aren't completely knocked out and dazzled and kind of intimidated by me, then I don't feel good about myself.
For him, I think it's less about what others think about him and more about what he thinks of himself. But in the end, he must learn to accept his new place in life. His son is facing a very similar problem. He is coming of age and searching for validation too, just like his father. And I can say, and I love how blatantly his plight comes across.
Well, you know, I think I'm an athlete, and sometimes I feel like you guys don't see me that way.
What's the subtext here?
The refreshing honesty provides a good layer of comedy for me. For the son, that is. And his name is Ash, by the way. His self-worth comes more directly from what others think of him, particularly his dad. But he begs for it all throughout the movie.
You're supposed to be my lab partner.
I am.
No, you're not. You're disloyal.
This theme, the search for self-worth, is easy to relate to. I mean, everyone wants to be loved and feel valued, right?
Will you join me?
And I love how simple the message is told through this movie. It reminds me to accept myself for who I am, despite my flaws, and also those around me for who they are. When it comes down to it, it is the relationships with other people that matters, not the situation you're in. Mr. Fox doesn't get his fancy house on the hill back at the end. He doesn't win. Despite being forced to live in the sewer, spoiler alert, due largely to his own mistakes, Mr. Fox finds peace with it.
It's not your fault. It's mine.
This movie tells me that you will make mistakes, but that doesn't mean you can't be happy. Fantastic Mr. Fox teaches us about ourselves.
I'm not different. Am I?
We all are. Him especially. But there's something kind of fantastic about that, isn't there?
And that's one of the things I like about it.
How was that?
Have a good day, and remember to smile.
That was a good toast.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. What did you like about the movie? Share your thoughts below, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.